Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 542 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. There's some interesting discussion that happened over the last 2 days in terms of DC, where this is what this channel is pretty much all about right now. DC content on HBO Max and of course DC content in films. But David Ayer, and you can go back to my video. I had a great live discussion with Chris Vantino, who is helping out with the hashtag release this Ayer cut. I've also talked with Steve Kassan and Gavin Downs, who both worked with David Ayer on Suicide Squad as background characters, but I loved their insight into it, and I loved Chris's insight into the logo that he chose for Release the Ayer cut. So, but there was a lot of discussion involving David Ayer's, his comments within the past few days, how much he's really truly pushing the Ayer cut conversation as well, including spurring the whole Release the Ayer cut campaign that trended really well today. So today was all about Enchantress, tweeting out Enchantress and tweeting out Release the Ayer cut, and trended today 11.1 thousand tweets. Incredible work for everybody who got involved in that. You can even see the conversations around the time, and it just shot up today in terms of the Release the Ayer cut conversation, tagging HBO Max and AT&T, and hopefully a lot of people went and got the shirt. Hope you guys went and got the shirt as the proceeds go to America Veteran Dogs. Veteran dogs, I mean, and so that's a great thing, and it's fantastic to see a lot of more participation within this, and hopefully it kind of fuels, getting David Ayer the cut of Suicide Squad. Now, because we were talking about David Ayer's Suicide Squad and David Ayer coming out with a lot of different conversations in regards to that, it's very interesting to see Cathy Yan actually retweeting David Ayer's comments and saying, "I'm so sorry this happened to you, David. I know the pain." Now, though that's an interesting comment. I mean, the things that spurred after that, I won't go into detail. If you're interested to see that, go head over on Twitter, see the post, the screenshot post I made just to show the drama that's going on between director and pundits and scoopers involving dick pics, dick pics in a diamond, right? So I mean that part's like. It's amazing. And like Dave says, essentially they're really talking about Ewan McGregor's dick. Yeah. Weird. But ultimately, there was a diamond scene where there's a statue of Black Mask, like Michelangelo or David, and it does show that the dick, right? So, but it was a whole statue, and so there was that whole controversy as there, but ultimately changed by the studio or Cathy Yan in order to make it more like the Swiss number bank accounts that appear in the film. Now, in my honest opinion, I think having that naked statue, having Roman actually really upset by that and wanting to get that back, makes it a lot more in tune with the wacky tone, the silliness of Birds of Prey more than Swiss bank account numbers, and I think that would have been actually much more, would have been, it would make more sense in plot-wise if that stayed in the movie. But obviously something happened, whether because they were already on the fence, and then the conversation, the plot detail that Grace put out really changed their minds on that and decided to change last moment. I don't know. I think that will be only for the directors and producers and Cathy Yan to tell us. But what I want to hone in on is just the mere fact that Cathy said this to begin with. Not the whole Grace Randolph, not the whole Ava DuVernay piling on, not the whole Daniel RPK trying to save his butt, but it's this basic first tweet right here. I'm so sorry this happened to you, David. I know the pain. Into this singular tweet that David Ayer, out of all the other tweets that David Ayer put out, this one, he said this. David Ayer said this. This was reshot because the tone was too dark. Suicide Squad was too dark. My first act was a normally constructed film. I took my inspiration from Nolan. There were real scenes with incredible acting between Jared and Margot. Joker was terrifying. Harley was complex. Now, it could just be mere coincidence and mere just, Cathy Yan saw all those tweets and decided to just pick this one in order to tweet her concern. And you may be saying, well, maybe she's not really talking about Birds of Prey. True, but there's really only one other movie that she done, right? Dead Pigs, and that was an independent film which pretty much had no real corporate entity to it in order to save their IP or be very involved because it's a giant IP like DC. So I wanna believe she's probably talking about Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey did have some reshoots, but from what we understand, it was a Chad Stahelski to spruce up the action a little bit, added scenes of action or redone action, which actually I did enjoy Chad Stahelski's action because I am a huge fan of the John Wick movies, right? And then for the most part, Birds of Prey is kind of a producer vision, if you will. It's a producer-driven film because it was Margot Robbie who had this whole mind of Birds of Prey and chose her director to make it, right? So ultimately, I think this is Margot Robbie's film, and Cathy is directing, helping her be the person behind the camera, ultimately for what Margot Robbie wants, okay? So it's a little bit different here than maybe Zack Snyder. But it's interesting that she seems to have a problem. Now, she may say she doesn't have a problem, but you tweeted this out to begin with. If you've never even had an inkling of an issue, I don't think you would have tweeted this out. So it does sound like you do have an issue. You're not willing to take it that far and tell us what those issues are. And to my opinion, Grace is, instead of Grace fighting back about it, she should have just said, okay, then what is it that happened? And Cathy Yan wouldn't have fought back. But it already happened. That's, the drama behind there. But I'm wondering what was the issue that Cathy had with the final film in comparison to her film. Was the narration different? Was it not supposed to be a flashback within a flashback? Was it more like what she's retweeting there from David Ayer's conversation? Was it supposed to be more dark? Was it supposed to be a normal constructed film? Was she taking inspiration from Nolan? Was there real complex scenes? Was there Jared Leto supposed to be in there? Was Joker more terrifying? Joker, not that Joker is in that movie, but what was he supposed to be in there? Was Harley supposed to be a lot more complex? Was it a drama more than a fun comedy action-y kind of movie? Like what is it supposed to be? So this part is the part that I'm really focusing. I'm really curious about to see if Cathy Yan would expand on that. Not because I would I would love to see if she had something different. That would be very intriguing to see. But if she doesn't want to reveal that, I'm still wondering why she even said this to begin with, and hopefully maybe later she would expand on it. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting to bring up, like, all of a sudden in terms of your movie. So anyway, that's Birds of Prey. Now A little bit in the same type of family, I guess you could say. Warner Brothers really loves their Batman area. I wish they'd loved Superman more. But the Batman among movies are given the go-ahead for a restart of the UK filming. As you know, a lot of the COVID-19 had really stopped production on a lot of movies all around the world, but looks like that the United Kingdom's film and high-end television production industry, which includes series, it's going to get cameras rolling again, potentially as soon as July. So that is fantastic news for the people who want to get the Batman rolling again. Robert Pattinson is probably going to start working out and start getting prepared to be in the Batman once again. Production is going to start. This is a green light that signals that the UK is open for business again for film and high-end TV production, says an industry source. Many productions have to get up and running again in the next 2 months, or they won't get made this year as they rely on summer weather and conditions. That's true. I mean, if they're looking for a certain, weather, what have you, in terms of what their movie is supposed to be like, then they really have to start getting through there. And imagine being in the summer. I don't know what the temperature or the weather is like in the UK right now, but imagine having to wear that in a summer heat. I really feel bad for that person. I used to do costumes events at the local Kikaida shows, and it is hot. It is hot. It's hot being a monster. Trying to fight. Kikaida is hotter. Okay, yeah, the suits that the cosplayers have to wear incredibly hot, as you know if you're a cosplayer yourself. And so, and imagine having to work like 12-hour days just completely in suits and stuff like that. So hopefully they get it underway for the benefit for the actors and the stunt crew and things like that. And hopefully, I hope it's still coming out right relatively on time, which is the thing. We kind of had a paused COVID situation for several months. Paused, not stopped, so we'll keep going on with that. So that is Matt Reeves' The Batman. A little bit more on that. A little bit more on the Batman is that concept model maker Jeff Frost posted some pictures of a model of the Batman's Batmobile on his website. Now, when you click on it, it's private now, so I can't go into it, but thankfully, a lot of people have posted the pictures of it, and it's looking very, very Mad Max. I mean, it's like Mad Max Fury Road workings over here. Very gritty, very dirty, very grungy. And it's like a prototype Batmobile, the beginnings of a Batmobile. And I think it really works out for Robert Pattinson's character here. And I'm really eager to see this in action, although you do see some of it in action for the behind the scenes of it. But I'm liking the look of it. It looks pretty cool. Like I said, it reminds me of Mad Max Fury Road. It is definitely something really cool to look at. Definitely different from what we've kind of seen before. And waiting to see what comes up with this. I mean, can you imagine? This is it's almost like Jack Reacher. It's almost like John Wick in its sense and sense of style. Just I don't know. I mean, it doesn't scream like he's very. And I've talked about this before. Like, because this is probably like more of like a year one. He's probably kind of he's probably gonna be starting to be a little bit. It's like a sloppy feel to it, and sloppy in like a more grittiest feel. He's not very precise. He's not very concise. And I could be wrong about this whole thing, but it's just giving me the appeal of like Mad Max. There's just very haphazardly, but dangerous, and a lot of different faults in that as well. And that's just me looking at the design of this thing. It could be something totally different, but I just feel it has that feel to it for me, that Blade Runner feel, like even I mean even Harrison Ford's character in Blade Runner, he was kind of clumsy, right? I mean, he was getting beat up, but he's also dangerous at the same time. So I'm wondering if that's the type of feel that we're going with Robert Pinn's Batman, and I may be overthinking it just by looking at shots of the vehicle and shots of the costume, but just very curious to see how this Batman turns out for that. Along the same world, but we're going to go ahead into a little bit of rumor mill and scooper mill, if you will. Daniel RPK is a scooper, and he's gotten things right and some things not so right. But in any case, when there's smoke, there may be fire. And so he just tweeted this out today, a GIF of Harley Quinn. Now, what does that mean? Could mean a lot of things. It is essentially could mean that there is upcoming news or things or conversations or talks in terms of Harley Quinn or Margot Robbie reprising her role as Harley Quinn. Of course, that's not a surprise because she is going to be in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Does this mean we may get the Suicide Squad trailer coming pretty soon? Is there talks about a teaser or a trailer? James Gunn is in post-production on that. Or is this the other rumor where Jeremy Conrad was talking about there are talks of Harley Quinn in another movie other than the Suicide Squad, possibly Gotham City Sirens. Another one, just the other day, they were teasing, how would you like to see, was it Heroic Hollywood? How would you like to see a Joker versus Harley Quinn movie? So there's a lot of these different little talks and tinkerings of news that could possibly mean essentially simply this, that Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is not over yet. Aside from the Suicide Squad, there may be something else down the line. So that's where I can kind of get it from this. Daniel Hara is not over and talking about other things that he's heard. This one is no surprise. Everybody's been talking about Henry Cavill as Superman. So does this mean there's going to be essentially concrete news, concrete information, and confirmations that Henry Cavill is indeed going to be in a certain film? What film is he going to be in? Is he going to be a cameo? Is he getting his own film? Own solo Superman film? We'll have to wait and see about that, so that conversation is still going on. This, however, is another one interesting. This is Cyborg. Cyborg, a GIF of Cyborg. Now, he could mean Zack Snyder's Justice League, but, that's not really scooping material anymore, because Zack Snyder's Justice League is indeed coming out. So what can we gather from this? Well, it's definitely a GIF. When you type in Cyborg in a GIF, you get that GIF. So essentially, he's probably talking about Cyborg. Does this mean Cyborg is going to have is Ray Fisher finally going to have his own movie? Is Ray Fisher going to finally be in a movie? Is his confirmation he's going to be in the Flash movie, just like how Deborah Snyder suggested back in the day? Is he going to be in the Aquaman 2 movie? Is going to be what movie is what are we talking about here? Right? And, this kind of popped up. This popped up today. Cyborg's story may continue on HBO Max, in which the culture nerd is suggesting that the Cyborg could continue on HBO Max, Ray Fisher as Cyborg, as a series on the streaming platform. Now, we've already been hearing that Zack Snyder's Justice League could possibly be a series, as already, it's something that Snyder put on the table as reported in the Hollywood Reporter. And then that's something they suggested and put on the table. So does this mean they're also thinking of Cyborg to be a series as well, or a movie as well, or as a cameo role in some other fashion? We're unclear yet. There is no official confirmation of this, but just to take this, like I said, when there's smoke, there's probably fire. The smoke here is Ray Fisher as Cyborg. There is conversations about Ray Fisher as Cyborg continuing past Zack Snyder's Justice League, which, makes a lot of sense. That's why even Ray Fisher is completely floored by this. He can't just be Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's probably more. The Snyder Cut really reopened up, opportunities for these actors like Henry Cavill, like Ray Fisher, Ray Porter even, and, Ezra Miller, and so on and so forth, including, Ben Affleck. So I think this is a great news indeed. You're starting to hear a little bit more and more about how and when or where, how these characters, these actors and actresses are continuing on throughout this DC extended universe in some fashion, but we'll have to wait and see for any 100% official confirmations about any of these characters and what their deals are later on. But, we're talking about movies here. We're always talking about movies, and it's interesting that HBO Max has been a huge thing. I mean, the launch may have been slightly mediocre at best, but there could be more better news for HBO Max later on. Especially now that this news came out, Deadline is saying unaffordable 90-day theatrical window is history as leverage tilts towards studios post-pandemic analysts. So basically, I won't bore you to death of what this entire article, but the basic concept is normally after movies are run, it takes about 90 days to actually get to a physical, a digital, digital media like a VOD, like you can get it on demand and things like that, or even streaming possibly, right? So there's that 90 days. But because of this pandemic, it had forced studios to make decisions to get their best return back on their income, right? The best return. And what way to get that is to get it right to you, the consumer, as quick as possible, especially consumers that can't go to the theaters, won't go to the theaters, or can't, don't want to get involved with that. And they want to stay home. They don't believe in the theater business anymore. They want to stay home. They want to watch it on demand as quickly and as conveniently as possible. So there may shorten these 90-day theatrical windows to maybe a 30-day theatrical window, as suggested by other sites as well, which would really piss off. I mean, it's gonna piss off the movie theaters for sure. They were already pissed off about Trolls World Tour. They were, probably pissed off about Scoob and things like that. And it really put a kind of a bad blood between the studios and the movie theaters, of course. Understandably, they all want to make a buck. They all want to profit from movies. But I can understand the studios trying to get their return on money, their return of investment as well. They need that. They're really looking to get that. And if this uneasiness about what happens after this post-pandemic is any evident, then they really are looking to try to get their streaming services really bumped up. And I'm glad that HBO Max, although mediocre right now and maybe launching it without the help of having it on Fire TV, without the help of having it on Roku, and of course all the other international countries may have kind of slowed down the streaming process, but they're really adding more on. They're slowly adding more on as more people subscribe to it or switch over from HBO Now, HBO Go, however that works out. But they've added 120 new movies today to the streaming service. I actually enjoy their library. I love the content they put on, the varied content of TV series, of drama, comedy, classic movies. They've got Godzilla on there, the older Showa series Godzilla on there. I can't complain about that, right? They've got Akira Kurosawa samurai films on there. I can't complain about that. They've got anime on there. They got movies. They even got Fox films like Aliens, Jaws, and things like that. I can't complain. And just to know that this is the platform that we're finally going to see Zack Snyder's Justice League and possibly David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I don't know if he's going to call it that, but it sounds good. and the extended DC extended universe on there, including possibly the Green Lantern series and other great DC content, is going to be on HBO Max. It gets me very excited, and I'm already in. I'm past 2 seasons of Westworld. I'm going to the 3rd season of Westworld. I'm already making use of HBO Max, and I'm loving it so far. So hopefully we'll get more content pretty soon. As soon as all this COVID-19 is over, people getting to start shooting. But at the meantime, dig in that library, Warner Max, and get some of those old movies, finish it up, and put it out on HBO Max. The people, the consumers, the fans will love you for it. All right, guys. Well, that is all for tonight. I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.